Well, we should probably introduce ourselves.
Chomp Studio.
Chomp Studio. Hey guys, my name is Ryan Walker. I'm here with Matt. Matt, okay.
Right. Matt Hubel.
Take two. Hey, what's up, guys? Ryan here again with Chomp. And this guy to my left here is named
Matt Hubel.
And also, I mean, you already do a ton of stuff for Chomp, but maybe also tell the people a little bit of your background. Because you have a variety of skills, so it's good for people to get your perspective on what you do.
I do,
too.
yeah. I'm mainly a VFX artist in video games, and I also do a lot of illustration stuff. And then on top of that, motion graphics. So kind of, well-versed in a lot of things.
Yeah, coming from a good viewpoint from a bunch of different angles. So today, after some of the other React videos of Astartes and just how much we loved that 3D animation, how all that looked, we are now jumping into Pariah Nexus from Warhammer TV. Mm-hmm. And full disclaimer, how much about Warhammer do we know?
Okay, so this is it. I know almost nothing. I watched Astartes, and it was freaking awesome.
Yep, exactly. That's why
we're here. Now I'm here to learn more. So help me learn.
Yeah,
that's what I need.
Yeah, be gentle. we're looking at this.
It seems very deep, and I'm like, I know this is a big rabbit hole, but I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, I want to find out more.
And again, mainly interested because of Astartes. That 3D animation was amazing. So now we're jumping into Pariah Nexus to see how it holds up.
Yeah. So
we're gonna check it out and watch it right now, and we'll review it when we're done.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Episode 1, A Mark Presented. I have to sign in first. Okay. Let me do that.
They're not on the same side.
I don't know. Want to take a second to digest all that?
It was cool. Definitely cool.
So that is episode 1 of Pariah Nexus. What is this called again? A Mark Presented?
Yeah, what did I just watch?
Yeah, exactly.
That was crazy.
So they're just getting hit hard with the Warhammer lore.
Yeah.
But from the outside, what do you think of this first episode? And are we comparing it to Astartes too much? No,
I mean, I feel like that after I watched that, I kind of just learned more about what these super soldiers are, right? Mm-hmm. Which that was cool. And now this one, I'm getting a glimpse into, like, I guess these different human factions, and then you have, what are the robots called?
I forget, but I'm sure people will let us know.
Yeah, okay.
Nicely.
Because they're awesome, for sure.
Yeah. The robots are honestly how they look like one of my favorite parts of this.
Dude, yeah. Then the dude's just like a crazy hunter.
Yep.
And, I mean, story-wise, it's pretty easy to follow, right? Because you have this hunter who's just out to kill everybody.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
And that's
eradicate that's
my plot, right?
That's all you need.
And then I got a couple of questions. Is like, what's with the leftover twitchy mutant soldiers that?
Yep. Like I wrote a note and I called them the because I believe that the smaller human soldiers are called the guard.
Okay. So
I just put down, and what we can talk about once we kind of go through the episode. I put down guard zombie fight scene.
That was awesome. Yes.
Well, so overall, I mean, I feel like I'm liking it too. I like how it all looks. I think the 3D and animation and everything is great because I did go back and look at some of the other Warhammer stuff, and maybe it's like a little bit older, a couple of years, and we haven't watched that obviously, but I don't feel like it's on, and I mean this in a nice way, but I didn't feel like it was on par with the Astartes stuff. So Astartes like brought us over to this, so I'm hoping to see more of that. And I feel like the bar is the same. I feel like the quality is really good.
Yeah, I think it was excellent. I don't know how many people worked on it or anything, but
yeah, that's a great question.
That'd be something to find out for sure. That's interesting, but
seeing as how Astartes was one person,
which is insane. I could never do something like that by myself.
Well, how about so I wrote down kind of the sequence of things, and let's kind of review the episode and everything that happened that we just saw.
Yeah, I want to start with
the title sequence. Dude, exactly. I think the title sequence, what I really like about it is, for the most part, I'm a real big sucker for monochrome or like, you know, just kind of like two-tone black and white stuff. And basically the only lighting and everything in these is from these like sweet laser blasts.
Yeah, everything is basically lit from your effects, right? And you have, I guess you have like kind of a turquoise ambient lighting, but all of your key lights are this, you know, this crazy...
All the particle effects and
lasers,
laser blast. I really like how there's really not a whole lot of background. It's completely black, but we're getting, you know, which obviously is helping with all the lighting effects and glowy glows. But we also have really nice dust particles. You can almost feel like the rock characters are getting blown up and they're leaving just dust, like if you dropped a bunch of dirt and rocks. And it feels like that throughout the whole scene. I really liked that.
Yeah, in my head, I'm trying to think, like, how would you make something like this where you have everything frozen? I guess you could blow it all up in cinema with effectors and whatnot.
Yeah, I think you could just have one, because it almost just feels like one giant scene that they made with all these crazy particles and all this stuff. And then they just did a really good job of moving the camera into each of these sections and highlights and moving them around. The crazy thing about that, though, is if they did do it that way, is those, like, they have to have that amount of detail in the close-ups because the close-ups have a ton of detail too.
Right. Yeah. So I wonder if it's multiple scenes or if it's,
I mean,
like a scene for each of these, or if it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, just the texture of the rocks and everything. Yeah, love the title credits.
I do love, like, the whole composition as like a big scene. When you see that wide shot, it just looks like some sort of classical painting or something.
That's totally true.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and then I like at the end how all those laser blasts make the actual Pariah Nexus logo. Which again, man, the particle effect work and everything that they're doing in here is just, it's great.
Yeah, even on that title, right, when it pops up.
Yep.
And you see that nice smoky green. It's awesome.
Love it.
Yep.
And then next part of the episode, we had the ship crash, which you know, just looks awesome. I thought there was a lot of cool things happening in there. And then after that, we get introduced to our main character who is praying in the church.
I mean, I feel like every good sci-fi needs like religious zealots praying in a church, and it's always like a torn down cathedral. I mean, I think it says a lot for this, right? Because something like that could come across as trite, I guess, but like what's here is like super cool. And it's really good looking. I mean, my initial thought is like, I kind of get like those Diablo vibes, but I think this is like, for me, this is way cooler.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because just like the camera work and production stuff with a lot of this, like, as you know, I'm a big sucker for nice, smooth bokeh balls.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, nice depth of field. And like all the production elements are there. Really good sense of camera movement.
Yeah. Yeah. These
lighting,
compositions are great.
Yeah. Compositions are great. Or like we had our orange color palette to start this. Let me not slaughter that. Like you were making good comments on the color palette where you're like, okay, we're starting off with our orange color palette here.
Yeah, one thing I noticed that was really cool was the art direction and the way that color is introduced throughout the episode, right? So you start out with like this orange and sort of yellowy world, because inside you have this, you know, obviously orange candlelit room, and then she steps outside and it's like this sickly yellow sky. I think it's really cool how it transitions from that, and then as we move forward, it sort of, I guess, almost goes in like a analogous sort of scheme into the green, and then
that's totally true,
which is really cool.
And then we get introduced to our secondary character. I believe her name was it Audra?
My question is, how do people have time to build things in Warhammer? Like in the world, everything just gets like obliterated.
Since everything gets blown up every day, it seems like.
Is it just because there's so many worlds that
they've had so many time and so many people to just keep building? I'm sure someone will let us know.
Okay.
And they're advanced technology, right?
I suppose, yeah. This is all ancient stuff on this planet, it looks like.
They probably have just as many repair people as they do construction people. So the only comment I originally had on this is, and I could be wrong, and maybe it's a design standpoint, is I felt like our main character, her facial and all the detail and stuff it looks really good and kind of over the top, whereas I felt like Audra looked almost more like a game character. Maybe less detail, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I mean, part of it could be like her design, right?
Yeah.
Because she's like a way simpler character. She's not supposed to be a hero. She almost looks like military police or something, right? Where she's just like generic red shirt kind of nobody. Whereas our hero is supposed to stand out. She has like a cooler silhouette.
True.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Maybe it was just more, since they're like the guard or more just civilians, none of the cool enhancements that all the other people have. That would make sense to make her more of a kind of a background secondary.
Right.
You know,
because I mean, if you make her look cool, then that takes away from our main character.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like heroes in a video game, right? You got to have your champion characters and not just your other playing characters. She meets up with her friend outside the church. They do a little bit of talking. And in my notes I wrote down throughout this a lot of walking and a lot of talking. But so after her, let's see, where do we go?
It's world building, Ryan.
It's true. And it's world building is like the perfect way to see it too, because it is so much world building, which is great, right? Because I like learning about the lore and I like hearing about all this. But where's that line between the 40k fans, which already exists, which of course you're going to want to develop stuff for them, versus bringing new people in like us that got sucked in with the Astartes lore, you know, or the cinematic.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what people who are big Warhammer fans think, because like when I watch it, I think it's cool because I'm absorbing all this stuff about the world that they're currently in, what's going on. But like, if you know it all already, is it something that you're into still, that you are like pumped to see, or is it something where you're like, let's get on with it? Well,
that's totally true. And that's like with that. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because, you know, people who are super passionate about the original Star Wars trilogy, for example, they don't like any of the new stuff. You know, they're like, oh, what's this new stuff? What's all this Disney Plus stuff?
That's a whole nother video.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's the next one we look at. Cool. All right. So we get introduced to them. So from that chapter scene, we go right into the deep helm of our villains, these machines, this technology, and it looks like they have captured a bunch of the guard soldiers.
Yeah.
And, you know, our main guy here is taking their souls for whatever purpose, probably creating more machines.
Right. But he doesn't, the other guy got in trouble for calling them souls.
That's
so
right.
What are they?
Yeah.
What is it?
So is there some sort of, and so you're right. The other character comes out and he refers to the guard and everyone fighting. He's like, oh, this, you know, the souls or whatever. And it's like, oh, don't say souls. And it's like, okay, well, if they're machines, not supposed to talk about souls. Is that going to come back later? And is like a guard soul going to affect that machine that's going out? And so I don't know. We'll find out. But overall, design aesthetic for this, honestly, this interior part is probably my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah, I think the lighting is really cool. It's a lot. It's got like, you know, it's lit for villains, right? It's lit from underneath a lot of it. So you have this light coming up onto your characters, makes it feel like super nefarious, right? I really like the animations on this this big dude.
Yeah.
It's like he's kind of graceful, but then he gets like this weird, you know, clicky twitchy robot stuff happening too. Yeah,
and he's got that one left arm that has the thing kind of rotating. That kind of glitches and twitches. I think that was really cool. And overall, I mean, what else can you really say? I think this is, if you're thinking about a show that's trying to compete against the Arcanes and all that stuff on a fraction of the budget, because keep in mind, Arcane and all that, they're getting that Netflix money.
Dude, you know, Arcane was,
exactly. So Warhammer, they have their own platform. They're trying to go against the Netflixes and the Primes and all that. And I gotta say, like, I feel like it's a different art style, obviously, but I feel like it's just on par production wise, especially in this scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really great.
Good storytelling elements too in there where you know, he kicks the helmet over.
Just the atmosphere in this place is really cool too.
It's so good. Yeah, so we kind of get introduced to our secondary character from here. Well, secondary villain. What does he say? He always answers with "this one understands,"
right?
Which is like the hive mind, you know. No person, no personality,
completely autonomous, like not autonomous, right? What's the word? Not an individual. He's like a hive mind. Yeah,
it reminds me of remember in Game of Thrones where you had the faceless man and he didn't have a name and he always responded to himself as like a man goes outside.
Yeah.
Or like it reminds me of that where they're trying to strip them away of their personality.
Yep.
I thought that was a pretty cool.
Or kind of like Mass Effect, the Geth.
I haven't played Mass Effect.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like a crazy hive mind.
Oh, cool.
Robot thing.
I like that a lot, trying to strip the person out of it, because then him talking about the souls and stuff, I think is a little bit more important. I wonder if that'll circle back at all.
Yeah.
Overall, this scene I think is awesome. And they have a little chat. He basically sends out this guy who's a really good sniper. We have
of the death mark. That's
the bearer of the death mark. That's right. Okay, cool. To go back to the battlefield and keep cleaning up the people that was in this war-torn land.
Yeah, the amount of fluid simulations in this too, by the way, is kind of, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Hope they're using Embergen, because otherwise.
Yeah, Embergen, reach out to us. We love you.
Real-time VFX. It's the way to go.
This is not sponsored, by the way.
No, we're just nerds.
All right, so that was probably my favorite scene. It's pretty awesome.
That's the thing I feel about Warhammer. Every time I like see something or even somebody's name, you're like, oh, that's pretty rad. Like, it's always just like cool. Everything is just like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like,
it's so true. Yeah, and like, so I watched.
Everything was at 11.
It's so true. Well, and I was watching these other videos too, and I didn't know. Like, I was watching this video where they have like the mech warriors come in. I'm like, I don't know what they're really called, and people are like, and they were cool and totally nice about it. They're like, yeah, they're called dreadnoughts. And then they're like, here's some videos to learn about dreadnoughts. I'm like, what the heck are dreadnoughts? And dreadnoughts are basically like, they keep these fallen soldiers in like basically like a coffin, and they load the whole coffin, and his mind still kind of works.
Oh gosh.
And put him in a big mech warrior, and they, so like even just dreadnoughts and that whole lore, everything's just brutal.
It is.
which is
so brutal.
Which is awesome. All right, so after this scene, where do we go? So we get introduced to the villain. We talked about the villain environment, which is absolutely amazing. And then from here, we go back to the city. We kind of got the orange color palettes again. They're fighting the bearer of the death mark. They're all amazing snipers that apparently can teleport around.
Just warping around and murdering fools.
He's fighting the guardsmen. He's obviously killing all these guardsmen.
So he takes out all these regular guys, right?
Yep.
And so, like, what does his weapon do? Because he doesn't like leave any damage. It's just like, is he?
Just some awesome energy weapon, I guess. I don't know.
Is it like sucking the souls out of him or something?
Oh,
because like, what's the stuff in his gun? Is that?
Yeah, that'd be.
Is that ammo, or is he like pulling it back?
Oh, good question. Is it shooting, or is it stealing the souls? I feel like it looks like a sniper, but it does. Who knows?
Now I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't know.
Because the
effect
just
turn green and like it all.
Yeah, and that effect of them basically being like mummified almost.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. So that's a cool scene. Quick introduction of how he's a good sniper and he teleports around. And then we go back to our main characters, as I wrote down, walking and talking. It's a lot of walking and talking. But again, I like some of this because we get to see more of the architecture throughout. And it's ridiculous. The sense of scale is really well done, I feel like.
I agree, yeah, with this giant statue.
Oh yeah, and in the city we see all of the fallen Ultramarines.
Which means like some real heavy stuff went down. These guys are like invincible.
Yes, from what everyone's been telling me in the comments and learning more about the lore, the Ultramarines are like the best of the best. They're like 8 feet tall, 1,200 pounds with their armor.
They have extra organs, I think, too. Right?
Yeah, they have like an extra lung and an extra heart. Yeah, they have all these, extra genetically made features, and they're just complete super soldiers. And everyone's like, oh yeah, if you put, 5 or 6 Ultramarines on Earth, they could take over Earth. No problem. It's no big deal.
Yeah, and there's like at least, 3 or 4 dead right here?
Absolutely, yeah. We have like severed limbs. There's obviously the city destruction, huge battle. Mm-hmm. Ultramarines dead everywhere. And we're just, again, our main characters are walking through. We're having kind of a little bit of a existential crisis on, it's kind of like good cop, bad cop.
Yes.
Is she in the right? Is she not? Is fighting for the Emperor good or bad? But again, I think from a design and production standpoint, everything looks great. It's staying very consistent.
I think so, yeah.
Walking, talking, lore building. We learn about the angels. More of the Ultramarines are dead. We're seeing all kinds of destruction. It is setting the tone for what's happening, but it just seems like. Do you feel like it seems like too much talking?
I didn't. I thought it was cool. I don't know.
I mean, getting the lore and the history of the battle and her and everything, it does help.
Yeah. I was really into it just because I was trying to like piece stuff together and figure out what's going on.
Absolutely. I did make one note on here. Almost at the end of this chapter, they're sitting and talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's one shot where the secondary character, she's not there when our main character is talking to her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're like talking back and forth. You know, she's looking camera right.
Like right here.
She's looking left. One of these shots where she's not there anymore.
This has me thinking then, because, you know, there's the next scene where she's like surrounded and fighting all these things.
And I made a note on this too. I'm curious what you say.
Okay, so the Audra character is just standing on top of a rock, just talking smack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not helping at all.
So she's definitely in her head.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think they're setting up that because, yeah, I feel like she disappears on and off. There's scenes where she's standing by herself in these big wide shots. And then, like you said, that comes later. I made a note too. I'm like, yeah, her friend does nothing.
Yeah. I was like, that's kind of weird. But now that you say this, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I feel like a Fight Club situation here.
Fight Club, exactly. Okay, so before that scene, after again, we're making our way towards the center of the city. Now we're in a scene where we're getting introduced to one of the Ultramarines going against our Deathmark sniper character. And this scene again too is really cool because the colors are changing.
Yep.
I like the blue tones. We get to see the perspective of the Ultramarine and their fight scene. And unfortunately, again, at the end of this, the sniper wins and kills another Ultramarine. So
takes him 2 shots though.
2 shots. That's true.
That was interesting.
Yeah. Well, you got to get through that armor from the first one. And I think the second one that actually got him, it was like a headshot, right? But again, this is another great scene, just able to follow the camera movement, the production of it. And like you mentioned, we're going through our color palettes. Now we're in another bluish environment. So do you think this is happening in a different time period than like our walking and talking scenes?
No, well,
or do you think maybe it's just like a different part of the city?
Yeah, I initially just thought it was maybe like a different location.
Yep.
I don't know if they're all in the same planet even. I guess.
They are.
Okay.
Well, after our battle where we see the sniper, we go back to our main characters. And what are they doing? You call it. Walking and talking.
Exposition? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah. Exposition. Yeah. I mean, I'm making fun of the walking and talking, but it honestly doesn't bother me. And then another interesting thing is I think maybe we are seeing passage of time because this is the similar blues to the fight scene that we just saw.
Yeah. So now we've transitioned to like a blue. I don't know if it's like sunsetting. Maybe
that's what I think.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a good job of showing a passage of time with the sunset going into the nighttime, which is a really cool art direction on that. I think.
Yeah, and I think this planet is so jacked up that's why it's like this nasty yellow color when it's sunset. That
would make sense. It'd be like radiation or some sort of nuclear weapons. Warhammer will use anything. That's what I'm learning. And then I think the real highlight of this scene is we get introduced to our first series of guard zombies.
Yeah.
What do you think of those?
You see it coming, and you know she should be smarter, but she's got to go touch him, and now we start a fight.
I do love how all this looks, though. You get a good sense of the moonlight. All the lighting and environment stuff has been so good. Any opportunity they use for really nice directional lighting, dust, depth of field.
Yep.
I mean, they're doing all the things you would do to make a movie.
Yeah, and you've got some really nice lights cast from the fire that are positioned, so they're like a practical light source with like the moonlight.
That's true, yeah.
And
that's actually a good point too, because a nice thing why that makes it look good is because you have the bluish of the moonlight and then the fire, the contrasting color of orange. Mm-hmm. It's really complementing it well. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And so she meets the zombie characters, and we have a big zombie fight. I know they're not zombies, but I'm calling them zombies.
We're gonna call them zombies. It's okay.
I think it's really cool. The only thing I was wondering is some of the impact hits, and I don't know if she has the same gun as the bolter like in Astartes where the body parts just blow away. It'd be cool to see a little bit more impact on that, I feel like, because they're just kind of getting hit and you don't really see much happening. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit of a muzzle flare, which is okay. It'd be cool to see maybe a little bit more impact on that, because I think these guns are just supposed to be absolutely brutal. Everyone's like, yeah, they're basically propelled missiles the size of Red Bull cans. And they kind of just hit, you know, not really.
When we get into the slow motion scene though with the muzzle flashes, those are sick. Look at that.
Those muzzle flashes do look good. You think those are 2D cards at all?
Looks like it.
Still totally works.
It might not all be. I don't know. But I guess it would make sense to use it as 2D.
Yeah. All right. And then this episode ends with another Ultramarine entering the scene, and they both have their guns kind of drawn at each other. It cuts to black, and we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I want to know, like, you know, what's the statue that she's like at right now?
Yeah, I should put that up on frame because it's obviously significant because they hold on it for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is that supposed to represent like the Emperor or something along those lines? But this new Ultramarine that kind of creeps up on them is rising underneath that statue. So it's got to be some significance, and, you know, I'm sure people let us know. But man, the Ultramarine in this scene, what an epic entrance. Just silhouette. All we see is the glow of his helmet, which is, or the, you know, his eyes are lighting up. I think that's really cool.
And it shows you how big they are too.
Yes. Really cool framing choice too. This nice, you know, V center cut.
Yeah. It's a cool composition where you have like a V and then like a triangle going up, right? So you have like the two at the bottom, and it's all centering right on him.
It's really good.
Like that, and then like the triangle up, so they just kind of like intersect and
makes a perfect shape like that. I like that.
And then you have the bright orange in the back and like the contrast there. Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, what do you think, Matt? That's episode 1 of Pariah Nexus. Are you invested? Do you want to?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to see episode 2?
Of course. I gotta know now.
All right, guys. So that's a review of episode 1 of Pariah Nexus by Warhammer 40k noobs.
Yeah, I think so.
But look at it from the eye of production, you know, video production, motion design, motion graphics.
Yeah.
We love all that
art
stuff.
Side of the world. Well, the tech side too, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. Because we love all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for checking this one out. We're going to check out episode 2, and we'll see you in the next review of Pariah Nexus.
Yep.
Until the next one.
Later.
All right, guys. Well, how should we end this?
I don't know.
All right, guys. Well,
see ya in the next one.
See ya in the next one.